Assalamu alaikum, we are Group 2, from HIST to 301. This video is going to talk about third fitnah. It represents a turning point in Islam. It is which brings a long period of political turmoil, but it also brings the golden age of Islam. On the eve of the third fitnah, it was the most corrupt moment of the Umayyad dynasty. The Yazid I of the Umayyad dynasty imposed a large amount of taxes on the people. This caused Mawali's dissatisfaction, and the strict oppressive policies made it impossible for the people to live happily. With the economic downturn and serious taxes, the gap between the rich and the poor in society is getting wider. This has gradually sprouted the faith of many people in remote areas to establish a new regime. The Abbas family in Khorasan began to incite the people to launch a revolution. They claimed to restore an equal society, and this is exactly what the public wants. So people began to respond to the call. In this way, the Abbas movement appeared. It represented justice at that time. Led by Abu Muslim and attacked all the way from Khorasan to Damascus.
Around the year 744 CE, Marwan II succeeded to the Umayyad Caliph throne. He was, after all, the final caliph of the Umayyad dynasty until the Abbasid revolution emerged. The empire was ruled by Umayyad for almost a century, starting in 661 CE when Muawiyah I became the caliphate, which is the succession crisis happened that led to the third fitnah. Eventually, prejudice toward non-Arabs led to the decline of the Umayyad Caliphate. Regardless of whether they accepted to Islam, non-Arabs were regarded as second-class citizens. And the fall of the Umayyads was eventually caused by the unrest that cut over religious and ethnic boundaries. The rise of the Abbasid revolution, also called as the movement of the man of the black raiment, led to the great downfall of the Umayyad dynasty. The Abbasid was the descendant from the Al-Abbas, an uncle of the Muhammad. After observing the Umayyad vulnerability, the Abbasid launched the uprising in 747 CE. Also was an open rebellion by the Abbasid. Before this, they only did small rebellion in Khorasan, the base of the Abbasid revolution. During the rebellion, they portrayed themselves as the opposite of Umayyad. Arabs were essentially accounted for mostly by the Umayyad bureaucracy. The Abbasid, meantime, enlisted warriors from diverse backgrounds and assigned them rank based on merit. The Abbasid revolution began to expand more widely, then defeat the armies of Marwan II at the Battle of the Great Zab River in Mesopotamia 750 CE. Led by the leadership of Abu Muslim, the greatest army was the reason for the proclamation of the first Abbasid Caliph, Abu al-Abbas al-Saffah in Kufa. Later, all the Umayyad family members was assassinated except the last remaining family member, Abdul ar-Rahman. He was successful to Spain through Egypt and Africa, then established new Umayyad dynasty that later will be changed to Cordoba dynasty. Abbasid secured Damascus in April of that year, 750 CE. Afterward, soon after al-Saffah took cover the title of Caliph, he established his dynasty, the Abbasid Caliphate, in Kufa, the city of Baghdad.
The Abbasid revolution was called the Third Fitnah because it was the third civil war that happened between Muslims following the first and second fitnahs. hence why it was called the third fitnah. Moving on to more details about the Abbasid Revolution. So basically, the main event that took place during the Abbasid Revolution was the Battle of the Zab River, as previously mentioned, that happened in 750 AD. And prior to that battle, in 743 AD, before the third fitnah started, Caliph Hisham died and was succeeded by his nephew, Al-Walid II. However, despite Al-Walid II proclaiming himself as the Caliph, Yazid III entered Damascus and somehow declared himself as the Caliph. This made Al-Walid flee to Al-Bakhra, but unfortunately was chased and killed by Yazid III's supporters. And this consequently signifies the start of the third fitnah. Unfortunately, in the same year, Yazid III died and was succeeded by his brother Ibrahim. Later on, Marwan, on the mission to restore Al-Walid II's sons, marched into Syria. Marwan won against the Sulaiman, who was actually Ibrahim's representative and was declared Caliph. However, some of Marwan II's army decided to side with Sulaiman. His troops withdrew to Hims and later was besieged by Marwan II, and they eventually surrendered. Moving on, in 747 AD, Abu Muslim was sent to Khorasan, where he eventually launched a rebellion against Marwan II. Abu Muslim went to the extent that he unfurled black banners and read prayers in the name of the Abbasid Imam. This is a crucial step that was the most, as the house of Abbas is gathering support from the non-Arabs, especially from Khorasan. And in 748 AD, Abu Muslim and his troops managed to occupy Merv, Gurgan, and Nihawan. Lastly, in 750 AD, the Battle of the Greater Zab took place. The Umayyad army led by Marwan II was defeated by the Abbasid army, and Marwan fled to Syria and then to Egypt. And as mentioned previously, he and a lot of the Umayyads' family members were killed. Consequently, As-Saffah became the first Abbasid Caliph, ending the Abbasid Revolution and marking the start of the Abbasid Caliphate.
The Umayyads' favoritism towards Syrian Arabs and their discriminatory treatment of non-Arab Muslims, particularly the Mawali, newly converted Muslims, sought the seeds of rebellion. Persians, the largest group of Mawali, felt the brunt of this discrimination. The Umayyad taxation policies only deepened the resentment, making the local Iranian population ripe for revolt. But it wasn't just about the economics. The Umayyads perceived deviation from true Islamic principles, and their weak commitment to the faith angered many. They had turned the caliphate into a hereditary dynasty, a move that didn't sit well with those who believed that no single family should monopolize power. The Shiites in particular felt marginalized and persecuted under Umayyad rule. They believed that true authority belonged to the family of the Prophet Muhammad, specifically through his son-in-law Ali. The Umayyads, however, were not part of this sacred lineage. This sense of alienation drove the Shiites to seek an alternative. The Abbasids skillfully tapped into this discontent, offering a vision of inclusive governance and a return to the original principles of Islam. They called on the people to support their movement, promising to restore Islam to its pristine beliefs and practices. Crucially, the Abbasids didn't limit their appeal to one group. They strategically reached out to various dissatisfied factions, including the Shiites and the Mawali, promising the Shiites participation in the selection of the Imam Amirul Mu'minin. The Abbasids managed to win over their support despite not tracing their lineage through Ali, as the Shiites would have preferred. The Abbasids' message found fertile ground among the oppressed and the disenchanted. Southern Arab tribes, Persian Mawali, and Eastern Arabs all rallied to their cause. The Abbasids' claim to descend from Prophet Muhammad through his uncle Abbas was particularly compelling. And so, with a coalition of discontented voices behind them, the Abbasids launched their revolution. With the rallying cry for the support of the house of the Prophet Muhammad, they led a movement that would ultimately overthrow the Umayyads and pave the way for a new era of Islamic government.
The biggest impact of the Third Fitnah event was the end of the Umayyad Caliphate, which was later replaced by the Abbasid Caliphate. all the remaining Umayyad officials were hunted down and killed, except for Abdul Rahman bin Muawiyah, who managed to escape to Andalusia, Spain. Although the Abbasids came to power with the help of pro-Alid factions, claiming to want Muhammad's descendants as caliphs, they ended up siding with the Sunnis against the Shiites. They also opposed many of their former allies, including Abu Muslim, who was accused of heresy and executed for treason by the caliph who succeeded Safa in 755. The Abbasid Revolution and Third Fitnah event hold significant historical and societal relevance that can be appreciated by current and future generations. The Abbasid Revolution was partly motivated by dissatisfaction with the injustice felt by the people under Umayyad rule. This event taught us that we need to be responsible leaders in governing the country, and as citizens we need to fight for justice in society. As we can see today, these lessons are very relevant and practiced in democratic governments, fighting for human rights and social justice around the world. The people are powerful in voicing justice and are not easily oppressed by a tyrannical government. Not only that, a few Umayyad leaders are also often considered leaders who favor Arab groups and ignore non-Arab groups in Islamic society. These ethnic and social tensions contributed to internal instability and the eventual fall of their government. The lesson from this matter is the importance of handing over positions to the people who are responsible for governing the country to ensure government stability and social justice and community development. Of the Umayyads brought great changes in the politics and history of Islam. This change of dynasty led to positive changes. This dynasty is often associated with the Islamic Golden Age, an era of extraordinary cultural, scientific, and intellectual achievement. At this time, scholars from various backgrounds contributed to progress in various fields of knowledge, including mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy, and literature that are still used today. This shows that the change of government does not necessarily give bad results if it is given to a good leader.